Hey guys, my name is Hot Hands, and today I'm going to talk about Wombat Exchange. In this video, I will introduce Wombat, its mechanisms, and then walk you through the up-and-coming WOM Wars narrative and what this means for WOM users. Let's get started. So, what is Wombat Exchange? In the simplest terms, Wombat is a decentralized exchange, or DEX, on BNB. It specializes in token swaps between pegged or stable assets, namely stablecoins and BNB liquid staking derivatives. Wombat is more commonly known as a stable swap, and stable swaps are in general a crucial part of any blockchain ecosystem, and Wombat is certainly no exception. Now, how does Wombat work? It's quite simple, really. Wombat crowdsources tokens from various users into pools of liquidity known as LPs, or liquidity pools. It then enables other users to use the crowdsourced tokens in those LPs for swapping transactions. Wombat then rewards depositors with interest paid in their native token, WOM. And so, in addition to token swapping and yield farming, users can also lock WOM for VE-WOM. This gives users access to yield boosting and voting gauges, both of which are features that form the crux of the WOM wars. So we need to make sure we understand these concepts properly. Yield boosting is very straightforward. If you deposit liquidity and lock WOM tokens, you will get VE-WOM in return, and the VE-WOM boosts the amount of WOM rewards you receive when you deposit liquidity. In Wombat's DApp, users can adjust the amount of WOM and the lock period of their locking contracts. You can also have up to 10,000 contracts simultaneously. All you have to do is lock up WOM to get VE-WOM immediately, and the boost from the VE-WOM is applied to all of your liquidity pools. The more WOM you lock, the more VE-WOM you get, and the larger your boosting power. Next is voting gauges. Now, this feature has not been released by the Wombat team, but I will cover it because it is crucial for the WOM ecosystem and for understanding the WOM wars. Voting gauges have a direct effect on the rewards earned by the liquidity providers of various pools. Currently, the Wombat team allocates a fixed portion of WOM emissions to the different liquidity pools on their protocol as incentives for people to deposit tokens. After voting gauges go live, VE-WOM holders will vote to determine how the same pool of WOM emissions are allocated dynamically. The pools will receive WOM tokens, which increases the pool's APR and incentivizes more people to provide liquidity for that pool. And so if you look at the chart on the screen right now, you will notice that the BNB pool has the most votes. Therefore, the BNB pool receives the most WOM out of all the pools. And here's the best part. People can change their votes at any time, meaning this graph will change and fluctuate based on how many votes it gets. And because of this, stablecoin protocols and liquid staking protocols will offer financial incentives to VE-WOM holders in exchange for their voting power. And so if you are someone who holds VE-WOM, you will be bribed by these protocols so that you would vote for their liquidity pools. Now that you have a better understanding of the voting gauges and yield boosting, let's move on to the juicier topic, the WOM wars. The players in this war are Wombat, of course, the convex forks, and the liquid staking and stablecoin protocols. The convex forks are the ones doing most of the work in the WOM wars, and so we will focus more on these protocols in this video. There are three main convex forks, Quoll, Wombex, and Magpie. All three convex forks allow users to deposit WOM tokens in exchange for a yield-bearing derivative token that earns the holder a yield that is paid in the governance token. So I deposit WOM, get the yield-bearing token, and I will earn the governance token of whichever protocol's yield-bearing token I hold. Now, why are they doing this? It's because the mission of these convex forks is to secure as much VE-WOM as possible to control WOM's voting gauges, and they will do so by incentivizing WOM deposits. Once they get WOM deposits, they will lock the WOM for VE-WOM and immediately offer yield boosting as a service. In doing so, they start something known as a WOM flywheel. The WOM flywheel goes like this. If a protocol has a high VE-WOM level, more liquidity providers will deposit their stablecoins and liquid staking tokens onto their platform, which earns them more fees. These fees are then distributed back to holders of their yield-bearing token or their governance token, which increases the demand for these governance tokens, which incentivizes more WOM deposits so that users can obtain these governance tokens. And this restarts the cycle over again, and the cycle compounds itself to really give any convex fork who is able to kickstart this flywheel a massive compounding advantage early on. Now, on one hand, you have the WOM flywheel, and obviously on the other hand, there are bribes and voting power. And this has something to do with the stablecoin and liquid staking protocols previously described earlier in this video. Under voting gauges, VEWOM holders determine the allocation of WOM rewards to the various pools. Convex forks are effectively massive VEWOM whales because users will deposit their WOM into these protocols. And so what ends up happening is that as the largest holders of VEWOM, when a stablecoin or liquid staking protocol bribes VEWOM holders, the convex forks receive most of these bribes, and they will then distribute those bribes back to the governance token holders who vote with their governance token using their platform. And this diagram on the screen really summarizes the whole dynamic of the WOM wars. Now, what are the benefits of the WOM wars? On a protocol level, the WOM wars reduces WOM's circulating supply because of the WOM lockups, which increases Wombat's price and APR because of simple supply and demand dynamics. With yield boosting as a service, it increases the TVL of Wombat, and it makes yield boosting more accessible since users can boost their APR without locking WOM on Wombat's platform. And last but not least, the governance and yield-bearing derivatives turn VEWOM into a liquid and tradable token by way of the governance tokens. WOM holders have more options to monetize the WOM that they farm, either in terms of converting it into a yield-bearing derivative and earning bribes by participating in voting gauges. And so all in all, the WOM wars, very bullish. It's a very bullish event and phenomenon for Wombat as a protocol. Now, I've analyzed whole Wombats and Magpie using the metrics shown on the screen: TVL, fundraising, the bootstrapping bonus, the fee structure, the airdrop, their UI UX, and also their time to market. Based on the different dynamics and the mechanisms I explained previously in this video, my personal opinion is that Wombex would emerge as a victor in the WOM wars. And the reasons for this are quite simple. First of all, Wombex currently has the most WOM and VEWOM out of the three convex forks. As I mentioned earlier, this allows them to kickstart the WOM flywheel really early on. And as mentioned, this flywheel advantage compounds over time. Having more VEWOM means more LPs. Having more LPs means more fees. Having more fees makes their governance token, WMX, more attractive, which then incentivizes more people to deposit WOM into their protocol, which then attracts more LPs, so on and so forth. And so because they have the most VEWOM, the WOM flywheel is by far the strongest out of the three protocols, which also means that they have the highest possible chance of winning the WOM wars unless the other two protocols catch up. The second reason is that Wombex actually has the lowest airdrop amount out of the three protocols. Now, this might seem a bit counterintuitive because they're actually giving out less tokens, but that's actually good. If you really think about it, each token carries not only the yield or the market value of the token, but also the voting power that Wombex holds. So the more tokens they give out early on, the more diluted the voting power is per token. And so I think the fact that they're really curtailing how much tokens they give out is a sign of good token supply management, and that is something that I think is really good as a protocol. And last but not least, the team is constantly improving. To my understanding, there were some issues when they first launched the product, but the team is quite professional. They immediately fixed all of the issues, and they published a statement outlining all the problems they faced and how they resolved each of those problems. And so I do believe that the team that is constantly improving, a team that has good token management, and a team that has the most WOM and the strongest WOM flywheel will most likely emerge as the victor in the WOM wars. And that's for my video. Thank you for your time.